guys.
No!
See you on the other side.
No!
Bye. Goodbye. Oh, see you later. That's done.
Yep.
Hello, Vicky. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be
while.
back, Jaws. You did an amazing job, by the way, going over that last series, missing out on that play-by-play. But you know what? Now we're going on to our second series of the day. The winner of this series is going to be going off to face the Atlanta Reign. Now, we're going to have Boston Uprising going against the LA Gladiators, a team that we actually got to cover earlier on this weekend that, you know, it seemed like they were finally getting together and figuring out what they had to do better. But now going against a team like the Boston Uprising and seeing the starting lineup that I was able to peek at, I'm interested to know what's going to go on through Uprising's head right now, because they got a script here and they're going to be following it.
Yeah, they have been looking better and better as the weeks gone on. The Boston look fantastic, but the Gladiators, you know what? They've been looking great too. Their backline, super dependable. Shu and Skewed. There is no one killing Shu, and like half the time, I feel like he's invincible. Like he's found an invincibility bug, and he's just abusing it to the high heavens. But it's just Skew protecting him for so long. I harped on about it last time we cast them, Vicky, but I kind of made the comparison to Big Goose and Shaz when they were on the Gladiators roster. Just hyper dependable backline that you don't really need to worry about if you're on the rest of the Glads, because you know they're going to be alive all the time, supporting the front line and supporting the dive DPS or whoever you've got in your DPS or tank roles. Speaking of that though, Kevster and Mirror are starting today, so we're not seeing a bird ring again start. More often than not, we see Kevster and Mirror swapping it out for each other, and bird ring in the roster as a more static DPS, but we'll have to see how this one ends up going down. Mirror more known for things like Doomfist, a little bit of a silly hero specialist, sometimes bringing out the Torbjorn as well, which has looked and worked very well for the Gladiators in recent times.
Yeah, honestly, that Torbjorn being able to be utilized so that way they could stop the monkey engagement. But why don't we take a look at Boston Uprising? You talk about these compositions. Well, when it comes to Boston Uprising, they've been playing a really aggressive dive. We saw the Genji and Tracer set up at one point. Valentine, Color Hex, Stand 1. Able She actually starting off here. I'm actually expecting that Zarya to come in to work together with Color Hex. They want to go probably for that Zarya, Tracer, Pulse Bomb, the graph setup. But looking at the rest of the starting lineup, Boston Uprising, they have some tricks up their sleeve. They're looking to go about this in a little different way. And when you talk about adjustments, I think this is a team that could really throw other teams off their game because they could work with so much in their hands.
Yeah, they really can, and it's really cool seeing Gebushi, honestly, because we've had a lot of Punk recently. Don't mind that whatsoever, and Punk's been kind of performing out of his mind. And I did speak to him a couple of weeks ago saying, you know, are we ever going to come see you? Because we haven't seen much of you yet this year. Like, I want to see you integrated in the roster. Of course, sitting on the bench for that long, I mean, you'd feel like a vast at some point, you know? I mean, at the end of the day, being able to flex out your tanks in and out and have Punk come in for these more diva roles, and then Gebushi on the Zarya, like you mentioned, Vicky, is exactly what you need when you're going up against someone like the Gladiators. You want to throw them a left and a right hook, just mix it up, because the Gladiators, like I mentioned, they are so good at just keeping their supports alive and just being consistent. If you can throw those cheeky left hooks, you might be able to take him down here. I want to speak about Valentine though real fast. We are going into Ilios as our first map as well. It looks like we're heading to Ruins too, so traditionally a sniper map. Valentine has impressed me like week on week on week. We saw him Tracer when that was perma-played a couple of months ago. Not great. His Tracer did not look flashy at all, and it was, I wouldn't say like a hindrance, but he was a little bit invisible. But recently, his Genji has just been so good. Like the dive from the Boston Uprising, man, it's one of their keys to success, honestly. Myungbong backing him up as well. A superstar Ana player from last year that everybody was like, oh my god, like when Boston Uprising weren't doing well, I was like, save Myungbong, save Myungbong. Like he's so good at Ana, like he deserves a fantastic team to be built around him. This year, he has that fantastic team built around him. The guy is an absolute nutcase, and he's even able to show it off even more so now with aggressive players like Valentine and Stan 1.
Yeah, I think as Boston Uprising have gotten together and worked on that synergy, they've come out a lot stronger every single month that we've seen them between the main melee, June Jaws. We're getting already set up here. Jaws, Boston Uprising, they're coming into this with the Echo and Tracer. And Kaibushi actually going on to the Diva, not the Zarya that I was expecting. The Anti already landing onto Color X, and that's already forced out the recall. But it doesn't matter, the Boston Uprising have taken Mirror, so they have the number advantage, and look how aggressive they're playing. Just diving onto the Gladiators, space has nowhere to go.
Yeah, Yeah, Space actually dove straight into the Lion's Den there. Oh, Shu takes out Valentine. Pretty nice pick, but you have already lost your off-tank, so a whole lot less protection as the Matrix isn't available as they make their way onto the point.
See, the Gladiators are still trying to contest it. They're going to back up just a little bit, but both supports actually being able to build into these ultimates is going to be super important to start that engagement. The nano boost into the Winston. Shu's going to get it soon. Youngbung also anti onto Shu. He's so low and he gets taken out. He wanted to find that pick onto Color Hex, but because of that, he utilized he wasn't able to utilize a nano boost, and the rest of the Gladiators, without no support, they're forced to back off. Boston Uprising now can take this point.
Yeah, they'll be able to take the point eventually. It took so long. But because the Gladiators, some of them died first, and like the healers specifically, they're going to be able to come back rather quickly. The Boston Uprising wait a little bit longer. However, having the rally at their back pocket now, the Gladiators, yeah, they just got a little bit of time there, didn't manage to actually find the full flip, so they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Color Hex with the Pulse Bomb ends up missing as they go for this engage.
Here comes the Primal. No Nano Boost, it's just the rally instead from the Boston Uprising, but the Nano Boost onto Muse because Shu was able to have that since he had died earlier. The rally too from Skewed. He has the Primal. The way the Gladiators are playing are pretty spread out, but that's because the Boston Uprising are also just forcing them to reposition. Here comes the duplicate Mirror copying the Winston. They found Faith, but everyone's split up. Look at the way that the Gladiators are just trying to isolate some members of Boston Uprising. Huge anti onto Valentine and Color Hex. Both DPS, but Color Hex actually manages to retreat, and Kevster is popping off. He's found two, and Mirror is finally coming in from the skies with focusing being finding Valentine. They flipped the point for the first time so far.
You see what I mean now, like Skewed being kept alive by Shu there. Doesn't matter if antis land on him. Skewed's going to be more than okay with Shu at his back. As soon as that anti fades away, he's already at full HP, it feels like. The grenade also from Shu, or just Myungbong, Ana in general, if you land it on the Brig and the Brig starts self-healing, you're basically immortal. Like, it's so much additional heals. Kevster with Pulse Bomb looks trying to find Valentine. Oh, dearie me. Didn't really expect that damage coming out.
Looks like Muse 2 just jumped ahead to make sure he couldn't go away. Kevster being able to close that out onto Valentine, and now finding Myungbong. No one is safe on these backlines because the way that Muse right now is playing into Kevster, they're just doing such a good job at putting on a lot of pressure onto the Boston Uprising with that backline.
Shoot the nano boost. They're going to want to go fairly early again, it looks like. They can nano mirror here into this fight. He's going to be able to get that copy online so fast, Vicky, if he gets nanoed. Looks like maybe they want to, or just go for the safe bet and now Monkey. But Gladiators playing this far forward, it's definitely a good sign. Burning a lot of time bank as well. Myungbong nanos the Winston in.
Yeah, and now Stand 1 is going to be able to hold the front line. Color Hex taking a lot of damage, but Valentine just consistent with this damage output. And of course, we have Myungbong being able to put on pressure himself on the backline safely. You have the rest of Valentine just cleaning things up for the Boston Uprising. They take the point, and this has just been going back and forth so far, guys.
Yeah, 53 to 75. Gladiators win this next fight, which looks a little bit less likely now as it looks more likely at this point because they do have Rally and the Nano Boost, plus Copy coming up and Pulse Bomb. Myungbong doesn't have his Nano to engage with this Winston. Speaking of which...
Yeah, the Gladiators did, and with that rally too, they have the armor. Mirror has the duplicate. If Kevster could get a pick with this Pulse Bomb, the Gladiators get to reclaim this point. They find Color Hex. It's going to be Space, but the Diva Bomb has been utilized by Ibushi. Space also being able to try to keep track, and Kevster gets the Pulse Bomb onto Faith. That just leaves Myungbong, who's unfortunately just by himself. Kevster and the duplicate from Mirror just not going to let him get away in time. The way the Gladiators are just diving onto these opponents are just terrorizing the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, Kevster is immortal right now. He's not getting checked whatsoever. It feels like Color Hex has to play a little bit more passively at this point because taking care of Shu and Skewed is basically impossible. So playing defensively, checking Kevster, marking him more often might be the play, as Myungbong and Faith are having a very tough time doing anything here.
So just trying to get some intel. He's on the back lines. Oh, he pushed him actually back, but the Nano Boost has been activated already. Just trying to keep Faith alive. Valentine with the Primal, he gets hit with an anti. Just trying to find that, trying to take full utilization over that Nano Boost duplicate. He's terrorizing the point. He's trying to split the piece, and 99 and 99, they have to stay on the point. It's overtime. He's taking a nap. Shu finding Valentine. Not even sure where he was. He was probably on the back line there as Kevster still hasn't gotten checked. You said it before, when Color X has to catch up, it's difficult, and the Gladiators, they're winning this point here. They have the advantage and the number advantage on top.
Overtime's ticking down as well. Is anyone going to be able to touch? I don't think so. Vicky. And there we go. Round over to the Gladiators. Shu just refused to go down. Valentine committed his whole self to Shu, and then he just gets slept and then killed by Shu. No one really else there to help him. You wouldn't really need help, to be honest with you. Shu versus sleeping target, so basically an insta-kill. My word. The Boston Uprising backline there is just getting torn to shreds. Faith and Myeongbong not having a good time. Kevster playing super aggro as well. I want to see if they play Collex a bit more defensively here. Like I said, look at Kevster's positioning this whole time.
He's so aggressive. He's so aggressive. And then Muse is right there. Look at Muse. Look, him coming through. Yeah. Just the way that they were able to split up that backline. Boston Uprising, the moment they got torn up from behind, they didn't really know where to position themselves after that, because you have Muse just quite literally utilizing that primal to tear you apart.
Okay, as we roll out on Lighthouse. Same comps for both sides. Collex trying to chip away at the backline, but again, quite unsuccessful. Myeongbong is receiving a whole bunch of damage, but Muse ends up falling first.
He pushed up a little bit here, and Valentine actually punished him for that. But we take that trade here as the LA Gladiators still healthy with Muse coming back from the spawn. Valentine does not win that trade. Space actually was the one that hit him last, and now they have a free path to this point. Jaws, the way that the Gladiators are just terrorizing the Uprising every single time.
Yeah, Valentine's playing way too aggressive, it feels like. He was really thirsting for that kill. Greedy, super greedy positioning. He was like up into the skies, and looking upwards is a lot more difficult than looking downwards. So Mirror had the advantage, and then Mirror had his D-Ver at his back as well. Space has self-destruct almost too. My word, that's a lot of damage early on.
Okay, they're funneling over to the room. Space has to watch out. He has a Diva Bomb, maybe trying to go for something cheeky here as Boston Uprising are trying to approach this point from that high ground. They do try to take that fight over to that side health pack. Take your eye on Stand 1, who's taking a lot of damage. He goes down. Thanks to Shu here, and meanwhile, Space has the Diva Bomb. He's gonna go in for a reset. Kevster is terrorizing the Brigitte again, and he finds Faith. Faith, again, it's just not having a good time. And then you have Myeongbong having to back off. Kevster is just getting away with the support lineup for free.
Oh boy, Shu's landing key nades as well. Valentine and Faith got antied in that previous fight, so Myeongbong couldn't even keep his fellow support player alive. Gebushi's had a very rough start to the year. I mean, he's played 4 games, this is his 5th. And he's only won 1 of them, and that was at the very start of the Season 2 against the Justice. Big engage, Myeongbong, he's in a world of pain.
No, yeah, at least he pulled out the Nano Boost. Faith does have that rally to keep the rest of Uprising alive, but Muse is going to reposition real quick. He has that Primal's going to go back to the rest of the LA Gladiators. He's going to stop Color Hex, who's had a much more difficult time on pressuring the Gladiators backline in comparison to Kevster. Muse taking a lot of damage. He gets sent down by the focusing beam from Valentine. Gaboshi is also taking a quick nap, taking a lot of damage. Valentine gets booted out of the duplicate. Doing so much pressure, Gladiators aren't going to try to let him get away. You see Space just diving in on him. Gabushi also taking a lot of damage. He's so low. He gets antied. He can't get away. Meanwhile, Mirror on this duplicate having the Brigitte. Everyone's photoed by the health pack. Where are you going to go at this point when the Gladiators aren't even letting the Boston Uprising have any fun on this point? Yeah, look at that. Now, overtime already ticking away. Jaws and Boston Uprising haven't flipped this point once.
Yeah, Pulsum available for Kevster too. They're not going to be able to touch, I can't imagine. It's only the Tracer on board. Collex goes down.
Mirror. Just insane. The way that the Gladiators just played these last 2 rounds, it looked closer for the Boston Uprising, but there's just not going to be any heads to touch that point. The LA Gladiators, they take map number 1 from right underneath Boston Uprising, pointing them into a closer spot going to Hawaii. That is if they face off and win in their next series. LA Gladiators, I like what I'm seeing here specifically from Kevster, who's put on so much pressure onto Boston Uprising support. They just literally can't have any fun.
Yeah, no, the 0 fun allowed if you're playing against the Kevster Tracer. And you gotta wonder, like, you're in such an important position right now. A super important position if you're the Boston Uprising. You now sub in Gabushi and Color Hex when you haven't really been playing them at all. I mean, Color Hex has played 1 series this year. It was against the Vancouver Titans, and they did end up winning that series, but they've not really had a whole bunch of time to practice with him. Well, will they sub them out? It doesn't look like, if we're looking at the player cams right now, it looks like Ibushi and Color Hex moving away from the PCs, packing up the headsets maybe, so player change out looks to be the name of the game now for Boston Uprising.
Yeah, while we get updated with that lineup that's going to be coming up onto map number 2, we'll have that on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. It's the knockout this weekend. So knockout today, Jaws. We'll find out who's going to be facing off against the Atlanta Reign right after this series is done. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. Player resume presented by Indeed. It's going to be Space, who's been popping off this season, by the way. 2020 All-Star, two-time All-Star for the second-place team for both of those years. I mean, just looking at the way that Space has been performing this season alone, Jaws, I feel like he's found his comfort team. I feel like this team has been really working well with Space, and I definitely see it in his gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. Space has always been an amazing D.Va player. Amazing off-tank. And this season's been working out incredibly well. Like Muse coming in and partnering alongside him looks like they've been playing together for years almost. Like years and years and years. They work so well together. The Boston Uprising come into the series and they're already a map down now, Vicky. And keen-eyed viewers will be able to spot. We do have a couple of substitutions for the Boston Uprising as well. So Chex, yeah, he's getting subbed in for IM37. And Punk is coming in as well now as playoff tank. Gaboshi is sitting back again. So this is the Boston Uprising everybody was expecting to see.
Yeah.
I do wonder why they did sub in Gaboshi and Color Hex at the very start of the series. Maybe they wanted to, like I mentioned, throw them a left hook. Throw them something out of nowhere and come up with these, I wouldn't say like wacky comps, but just playing differently with different people in DPS and tank. Of course, everybody's got their own individual play style, so a little bit of a surprise for the Glads. But yeah, like you said, but now, when you've had so much success with IM37 and Punk, well, they're back in now. We are going on to Hanamura. Remember, it is loser's pick as well, so this was the Uprising's choice.
As we get started on Hanamura, I'm glad that we're going to see the usual Uprising that we're so used to seeing, specifically because of the fact that they've found so much success off of it in the Summer Showdown. Yeah, that was a little strange, because then they ran that as like a test run. The Gladiators, they take it now. They're up in the match series. Depending on what they're going to do differently here, maybe that was just for some information. Punk, we were talking a little bit about Space, but I want to talk a little bit about Punk here, who's been also a really good diva, who's been popping off this season. And I feel like Punk has helped build that foundation for the Boston Uprising, Jaws, in allowing the Boston Uprising to play their own game and their own individual strengths, where I feel like it comes together a lot better for that team.
Yeah, now he's back on the diva, thankfully. Diva definitely his best hero. We have Stan 1 on a very, very comfy hero of him as well. It's Orisa, something he kind of made his name on. Offense for the Gladiators, though. Looks like Space just wants to go for a cheeky TP and hook, and then TP back. No way he's playing Hog. No way. One day we'll see Hog back in the meta. I know some people hate it, some people love it.
I'm okay. I totally will pass on that. But he's going to make the quick swap. Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind playing against Hog, because I can discord the Hog or I can anti and sleep the Hog, so it feels good if I'm a support player. Unless I get randomly picked by a flanking Hog, which happens a lot, to be fair. Looks like Glads are switching up their comp, though. Double shield, a little bit more poke now, as Kevster playing the Ashe. Normally we see a Birdring on the Ashe. An exceptional player, Birdring overall. Ashe, definitely one of his better heroes. Mirror on the Echo 2, so slowly but surely. Gladiators comp is about taking space gradually. Boston Uprising going to have a little bit of a problem here, Vicky. There's a lot of mitigation on the side of the Uprising. Punk can use the Matrix to stop all that damage coming through, but Stan 1's shield is going to melt instantly. You can see, already gone. He has to back up now, and the Gladiators are making use of that space they're garnering. Well, Valentine's already dead as well. This is not a good start for the Uprising's defense. Immortality field burned too.
And you can see Boston Uprising support, they're off to the side, and now with Faith going down, it's going to be the Gladiators wasting no time making their way to that point. The way they just tore up the Uprising one by one, they were forced back, and the Gladiators now are flawlessly taking this point with literally not losing that first team fight in this engagement.
Yeah, super quick. One pick was all that they needed. Like I mentioned, slow but steady, taking every single pixel of the map with that double shield. And Orisa, remember, she had a nerf a while ago. Not 1200 shield anymore, it's only 900. So you are looking at a very weak character if your shields get instantly destroyed. Yeah, you can pop the gold and you've got a lot of utility, but yeah, it's not great when you're against so much spam. Speaking of spam,
yeah, you see, I'm 37. That's going to be uncontested on the side. And meanwhile, Valentine gets shot down with that window. Shu finding the opportunity. Now it's Boston Uprising's turn, but they won't even be able to have the space to utilize it. They're forced into their spawn. They're literally running away. What can they do in this situation? You have the Brigida, you have the Orisa. They're literally preventing you from making your way to this point. Meanwhile, Boston Uprising already have 2 ticks. Or rather, the LA Gladiators already have 2 ticks. The Boston Uprising, they're desperately trying to get on. Look how many ticks we just saw from Kevster. All right, what is this? This is not the speed run that we had seen before. Not the same time bank, Jaws, but the LA Gladiators at 443 in their time bank. They were unstopped within both of those engagements to take both of those points. They just did it slowly.
Oh my. I mean, you just went off momentum there. Completely. Skewed hits rally, and then they just run forwards and just spawn camp, basically. Like I said, Stand 1 Shield's not surviving. 600 HP, by the way, not 900. My bad for that. Like, 600 damage, Echo, and Ashe, and Orisa, and
Burn
everybody
down.
else shooting at you. Like, it doesn't last 5 seconds. Doesn't matter how much Matrix Punk has. That ability would have to be almost permanent for you to stop all that damage coming at you. Like, very, very tough. Big snowball advantage for the Gladiators. 443 is just gross. And they're now going on the defense with a completely different comp. They're going dive. Like, what at the Boston Uprising? I mean, good luck. If they tried to mirror what they did before, maybe go double shield on the offense, your backline's just going to get turned to shreds. Mirrors on the Doom, like, I don't know. This is tough for Boston. I don't really know what more I can say, to be honest. They're going to have to come up with a miracle, it seems like right now. But it can be done. It can be done. We've seen crazier things, okay? 4-minute 43, maybe the Boston Uprising beat it, but right now, it's looking quite unlikely.
It's like watching the LA Gladiators just get a download after their series just yesterday. Where they just couldn't take it over Washington Justice. Now they've made some of these comp adjustments, and you can see them, going over to the dive composition. Boston Uprising just making sure what they're going for before making some swaps themselves.
Yeah, so, okay, they're going with the TP... Well, are they? They're going back in. Okay, they're deciding... Okay, so they switched over to the TP Rhine strat, and now they're changing once again. So, almost mirror comps now. IM37 and Mirror are the only people that are on different heroes. Doomfist and the Tracer. Doomfist is really nice on this map too, because you can just kind of E downwards. You'll see Mirror. Oh, okay, so it's just going to drop and punch. But you can E all the way down. Oh, that's a big anti too from Shu. It's a lot of damage. Stan one's going to have to be incredibly careful here against the Doomfist. You can get uppercutted out your bubble, and you're going to get burnt so quick.
Oh, meanwhile, no one's looked at Mirror yet, and he's just punched out Faith, and now they won't have one of their support. Yeah, that was, he waited. That was perfectly executed. And now the Boston Uprising need to back off here because they don't have any sustainability to push through that.
Hard commit. Hard commit onto Shu. Skewed even, sorry. He got antied by Myungbong. Perfect kill, but the problem is Stan 1 goes down, so now they've lost all their space-making potential. It looked like Stan 1 was the only one that planned to actually dive in after Skewed, saw the opportunity, took it, but at least now Valentine got a pick onto Kevster. Okay, slowly but surely now the Boston Uprising are finding picks.
Yeah, Myungbong also has that nano boost. He puts it on some Valentine here. Gonna try to dive in. Does have that focusing beam. Meanwhile, the nano boost onto Muse instead. LA Gladiators are backing off. I love this repositioning that they just got here too, and they get a sleep all in the process. Punk taking a nap. He's forced Bet to back off. He's a little separated from the Uprising, but they've already made their way over to the point here, Jaws. Now the LA Gladiators are going to try to take this fight in to this point, but the Uprising were down 2 members now. They've lost Valentine and Myungbong, and Mirror, he needs to be stopped because whenever he's on this Doomfist, it's going to be terror if you're the Uprising. Gets that quick stagger on IM37. He's on the Sombra too.
Oh yeah, like disgusting amount of damage. And the Gladiators, what? Look at the ults. They got Rally, which is basically a press Q to win button. IM37 can't really counter it in any way unless he hacks Skewed and forcing him not to port Rally because he's hacked, and then they kill him. This looks like another fight win for the Gladiators. But Myungbong's going to be the difference maker. Anti-nades are key here in taking down the Brig.
Stan 1 does have that primal though. And Valentine also is about to get that duplicate. Meanwhile, the Rally's going to match that. But big anti finding 4. Skewed has the Rally at least to help the sustainability here. Muse also already is inside of that primal. It's Valentine's turn, and IM37 has the EMP, needs to land on the support line because Shu was about to get that nano boost, but not anymore. Now that gets taken out. Punk finding that pick, but Mirror is unstoppable. He's found the support once again, and somebody needs to check him.
Yeah, all set up from Shu's nade once more. Perfect harmony between the Doom and the Ana. He doesn't need the nano to make anything work because Shu just anti-nades one of the supports and Mirror just dives in, uppercut, punch. Easy. It's just too easy for Mirror right now. Nothing is stopping him at all. Uprising have EMP though. They have that primal still. Maybe they can make something work. Shu, gonna nano early.
IM37 is just trying to get into position at this point. He gets the EMP. It's found 3. It's found both the supports. Big Diva Bomb onto Myungbong and Valentine now. It's his turn to shine. He's found a DPS lineup here. And Boston Uprising, they need this. They need Valentine to be able to clean up that back line. You see the Gladiators disengaging in time, but they may try to re-engage here with space if they find that opportunity as Muse can just get back into the action.
Yeah, they have Rally more importantly as well, Vicky. The Gladiators can kind of run onto the point. They were holding the high ground the whole time, so they're definitely going to be able to contest. I say definitely. Okay, there we go. Contest comes in.
Yeah, that rally too is going to allow everybody from Gladiators to stay on this point, specifically Mirror, who already has some of that armor. Space has found Valentine now, getting some of that revenge going in, and as overtime takes away from the Boston Uprising, look how close they were for taking that last tick actually, for this first point. Meanwhile, the Boston Uprising are just dropping like flies, another ante onto Faith, and this rally isn't going to be enough to help keep Boston Uprising alive.
Oh, the Gladiators take map number 2, Vicky. This looks like it's going to be a 3-0. Quick and clean. Oh, my word. There is nothing stopping them. I mean, the Boston Uprising now just like a little bit defeated. It's so sad to see. They've had such a good qualifiers. And they're just getting halted with a 3-0-2. Oh, man. There's nothing that's stopping the Gladiators right now. Absolutely
That was their map
nothing.
pick.
Skewed is just popping off these rallies, perfectly timed. The ability, once again, to keep Shu alive 99% of the time. It's a miracle if the Boston Uprising are able to do a lick of damage to him. Match point now for the Gladiators, Vicky.
The way that the LA Gladiators just played, that was insane. They were able to tear apart the Uprising. Meanwhile, that was the Uprising's map pick. We're going to go on to another map pick from Boston. Don't go anywhere. It's map number 3 with the LA Gladiators at match point. We'll see who comes out on top at the end of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. Just like the summer, the competition's heating up out here. The ancient deity Hero Eris has landed just in time to celebrate the Summer Showdown tournament. Make sure to get this legendary skin before July 19th for only 200 league tokens. Imagine saying that like 3 times really fast, Josh. Hero Eris.
Impossible. Impossible. Well, Vicky, I think the Boston Uprising are going to need a deity to save them right now. They're 2-0 down, and as we look at our Brigitte power rankings presented by IBM Watson, or with IBM Watson, who's sitting up at the top, nice and pretty? Well, it's skewed. 118 points. Lijigon, 99. Like, that gap is immense. Skewed Brig, just unbelievable, and that really is what aids to the ultimate reliable backline the Gladiators have. Faith is on that leaderboard too, so not bad for the Boston Uprising, not bad at all. It's just that point diff from Skewed right now looking rather good.
Yeah, that's still a gap in between both of those Brigs, and when you have Kevster just narrowing you down, it's so difficult to really do much for your team, especially when getting pressured. But our next map is going to be King's Row here, Jaws, and after seeing these teams actually stay with the roster that we saw in the last map, what are you expecting here? I mean, you take a look at the leaderboard. The Boston allowed a pretty fast take from Paris Eternal with 4 minutes and 35 seconds in their time bank. Hopefully we don't see that replicated again today, or even worse.
Yeah, super rough. That was in 2020, like you said, against the Eternal. Well, I mean, if it goes the same way as Hanamura did, maybe the same kind of time, but they're looking to bounce back in the series. They get knocked out here. They're out for good, Vicky. They're out for good. And the Gladiators will go on to face Atlanta Reign later today. Let's have a look who's attacking and who's defending first. Boston Uprising on the defense, Gladiators on the offense. Up to Boston Uprising to set the pace car for this game in this case. And honestly, I can imagine they're going to stick with the same kind of thing. They like playing Myungbong and the Ana, just allowing Stan 1 to dive in with these nano boosts and Punk to back him up as well on the Diva. Now, Valentine's a bit of an interesting one too, because he could also flip over to something like the Genji, which we've seen a lot of from him also, which has been very good. He's actually going on to the Tracer, something that I mentioned at the start of the series was not looking too hot at the start of the year. It was kind of invisible, wasn't really having the same impact as what like a Kevster has been, even in this series.
Yeah, most definitely, especially seeing how Kevster's been playing. It's actually insane. We talk a lot about Mirror too, and how consistent he's been on the Echo. Meanwhile, I think they're just going to try to get a quick pick here, having fun, especially since they're at match point. They're so close, Jaws. LA Gladiators just need to take this one map. Let's see if Kevster can get a quick pick by the statue. Nah, Boston Uprising, they know way better.
Yeah, there you go. No way they're going to allow them to do that. Plus, when you're playing this comp for the Boston too, if you are peeking spawn, it would be rather questionable because you don't do any damage from that long range, so you're only looking at people and seeing what they've got, but you'll find out in a couple of seconds anyway, so here we go. So a little bit more dive-centric again, very different. I'm 37 on the Echo, just looking for this counter-hack, it looks like, on one of the tanks. But Mirror already chunking away at the tanks in the front line of the Boston Uprising.
M37 also hacked that health pack by the statue too, so that's actually going to provide some sustainability for these tanks to retreat to. M37's found Kevster though, that's a great pick, but they've traded that for both Faith and Stand 1. When you have M37 just fixated on Kevster, who's been a threat, that's a great start, but when the rest of the Boston Uprising are falling one by one, that is not how you want to continue on with that engagement. LA Gladiators now are moving their way over to the point, Jaws.
Yeah, they got 2 ticks too. Boston Uprising could go for an engage. They have Nano, but it looks like, whoa, aggressive Nano from Glads.
It's because they don't want to waste any time. It's a speed run out here. If you're the LA Gladiators are taking this payload out of the garage at this point, and they're just destroying the Boston Uprising while they're at it. They're still trying to contest for as long as possible, but it's just a matter of time before the Glads get that payload moving.
I'm37 used DMP in that engage, or like, it wasn't even engaged from them. The Gladiators jumped to them, and then I-37 used DMP.
Died.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to do that unless you've got a lot of follow-up, and a couple of the members from the Uprising were actually on the point trying to contest and trying to battle back against the Gladiators and go for this counter dive, but it didn't end up working out. Arm 37 kind of wastes the ult, and now the Boston Uprising not sitting pretty with their ult bank. Skew's almost got that rally online. Already Kevster looking for blood.
And now Kevster has traded that synergy with Space. Space is going to go for the quick remake after utilizing the Diva Bomb, and the stick with the Pulse Bomb has found Faith. This is what I was talking about before when we were looking at these Brigitte stats. When you have somebody like Kevster just absolutely terrorizing your supports, what can you do in this situation? Of course, you're going to have Skewed, who also has the rally now. So I'm 37 punish. Just kept.
Yep. Did I'm 37 EMP? Okay, I'm 37 managed to EMP Vicky through the server and to her PC. So rest in peace for the time being. All right, it's just me now. I've done a bit of play-by-play and done a bit of color today. So now it's time to do both, I guess. All right, the Gladiators now approaching this second point. I mean, with this mirror dive, there's not really much you can do. Like, you got Muse on your backline as well. Luckily, they managed to kite back for a little time here. Punk is using that self-destruct, going over the remake. A Primal Rage already available. Luckily, saves Mirror's life too. Self-destruct was right on top of him. But it doesn't matter in the end, with both supports and the boss not reason going down and Faith not even getting to that rally. It's almost impossible for you to defend against the double Winston dive. 4 minutes and 50 seconds now remains for the Gladiators to get that payload to that third point. They have EMP though. That's the big ticket here for the fight win. They have to board that train rather quickly though, because already the Gladiators are taking a whole bunch of space. Already have the high ground in the front line. I'm37 setting up for an EMP. It hits 2. Skewed and Muse are hacked, but can they actually finish off the kills? Shu is keeping Skewed alive for the time being, but a beautiful pulse bomb from Valentine to take him out. But Kevster with a better one. Both supports down. Both supports down now as well, actually, for the Glads. But it doesn't matter because Space and Muse are already in the back line just doing them dirty. The boss not rising with a nice little rebound in that fight. Couldn't make it work in the end. Faith using the rally. He ends up getting picked, and the Gladiators continuing to get that payload rolling. Skewed at 50% towards his rally too. He's going to have that before the fight ends, or before this point ends as well. So the boss not rising, going to have to find something magical. Oh, so apparently Vicky was muted. I could hear it, you couldn't. Unlucky. Good play-by-play, Vicky. I really enjoyed it. Everybody else would have done as well, don't worry. Mira transforming into the Diva. Whoa, there you go. It ended. 3 minutes and 17 seconds for the Gladiators. They complete point number 3 with a nice time bank as well. Boss not rising. They didn't really feel like they had a foot in this game, or a say, or a word. There was nothing really they could do. It was just snowball after snowball after snowball. The EMPs from Mine 37, yeah, it was pretty good. Landed on 2, landed on the Winston so you could burn him down, and Skewed as well. But the issue there was that Shu and Space were actually on top of Mute and Skewed. So you're not able to actually get any of those execute kills because there's a Brig kind of just standing there being Brig with armor, and then Shu's just kind of pumping them full of heals, and Space using the defense matrix as well. It was really the miracle pulse bomb there from Valentine, but then Kevster didn't want better, right? You got a double pulse bomb on both the supports of the Uprising, so it's just pipping to them post every single time. The Gladiators are one step ahead.
Yo,
Whoa.
Jaws, I'm here.
Okay.
It's finally happening.
My Infinity Gauntlet of casting partners is now increasing. I need 2 more. I've cast with Johnny, Custer, and basically all the entirety of the Overwatch League staff at this point. This is it's happening, Scott!
Oh,
Let's go.
doing it. We're doing it. We're here to see the Gladiators just absolutely sort of putting on a clinic against the Boston Uprising. Kevster taking charge.
Yeah.
That's, what is that, 3 minutes and 17 in the bank? Boston Uprising are gonna need a miracle. Part of me wants them to get the Valentine Genji out. Just throw whatever you can at the wall and hope it works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just try something different here. His Tracer, I mentioned before, Scott, was not so hot at the start of the season at all. Just looked a little bit more invisible. His Genji, on the other hand, completely different. Really shined like a bright star. Uh-oh. Well, Valentine's in trouble now, but Musing a little bit more so. Does manage to find the kill as the Boston Uprising, at least a man up now. However, Valentine having to play a little bit more scared. They're very scared of actually assaulting the high ground, knowing Mira, Shude, and Skewed are up on the high ground. They do manage to plant themselves on the point and secure a tick, but the Gladiators and Muse are going to be able to get back to the point for another recontest.
You can just see how scared the Boston Uprising are playing. They just were one person alive, and they just played it so slowly that Muse just comes back. They get the kill on the stand one, and now the Boston Uprising are retreating. They're not playing with that confidence right now that they need if they're going to beat the Gladiators. But a great stick by Valentine right there.
Yeah, Mira ends up going down as well. The hands of Myungbong. Okay. I felt like Valentine was playing a little bit solo queuey there, you know, like I'm just going to pulse and then if I can get anybody, blame my team for not following up. There is the rally, though, from the Gladiators. Beautiful stun onto Kevster, but it doesn't matter. He gets the recall off in time, so the pulse bomb kills Faith. Kevster's immortal as well with the amount of armor that he's got on board. The Uprising with 0 supports have to go for this retreat as the Gladiators win yet another fight.
Kevster's just creating that diff every single time, gets a great pulse bomb in the face, but now we have the EMP coming out from IM37. This has to be a big EMP because they don't really have much else in the tank, and the Gladiators are running away with it. They're nanoing in Muse right now, and he's on the back line. IM37 is going to have to go soon.
Oh, he's taking a whole lot of damage too. Luckily, he's getting pumped full of heals. Nice sleep. But Faith's rally actually saved the Boston Uprising there, luckily enough. IM37 setting up with the EMP. It hits 3. Mira has ult, but just needs to be able to survive to make this fight work. Skewed and Space don't get cleaned up either. He transforms into Mira, of all people, gets instantly hacked. Maybe he can build up towards an EMP. He does charge pretty fast, of course. There it is. Unleash it. An equally good EMP from Mira. Hits 3 people of the Boston Uprising. Now they have to play scared once again. They are going to have to back off. Mira hacked, but guess what? Marquis Echo transforms back and just jumps high in the sky so no one can actually punish her. Kevster on the side once again, looking for a small engage, and Skewed ends up going down. Finally, they find something that works. The pulse bomb misses, but Punk's bomb didn't. Shu ends up going down, and the Boston Uprising finally finding their footing.
Yeah, IM37's EMP wasn't great, but the Boston Uprising do a great job of disengaging from that duplicate from Mira and then just going on to punish. They get the rest of their ults. It was expensive. It cost them their primal, it cost them their rally, it cost them their Diva Bomb, but they get the first point cap, and that's important as they can hopefully start snowballing because Gladiators have nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, almost 0. I mean, now it's up to IM37 once again with this EMP. A little bit more difficult though, Scott. These streets rather narrow, lots of cubby holes to hide away from it.
But it also means the Gladiators have to group up. They're going to be very congested here. So IM37, if he can find his in, it can be almost a free team fight win if he can get like 3 to 4 with this one. On the tanks right there.
Hits 2 tanks. Skewed's going to go bright purple as well. A manual hack onto Space to try and kill him, but Nano Boost actually invested to make sure he stays alive. He's running to the back line, hasn't got a remech available, but does enough damage to kill 2. IM37 and Myungbong down. Space is eventually killed off, and the Boston Uprising somehow make it work. Skewed goes down to a pulse bomb as Valentine now chasing the rest of the Gladiators back through the streets of London to the underground. Uprising, they've done it, but for how long? They used so many ults in that fight, Rally, Nano, and the EMP. They've got to rely on the the self-destruct and the primal to get things done in this next fight.
I think Valentine hit a really important pulse bomb on the Skewed there. He just started his rally and gets hit with that pulse bomb, turns that fight on its head. Boston Uprising doing another great job. They have a massive ult advantage here. I just don't want to see them layer these tank ults too heavily unless they're using them to win the fight straight out.
I'd be scared if I was the backline of the Uprising now. Kevster has Pulse. Mira has that duplicate as well. They managed to stop the payload for the time being, and there we go. Double monkey dive in the backline is Planet of the Apes round number 2. He does get anti, but an instant primal into the backline. The rest of the Uprising is scattering to the 4 winds. Kevster, Pulse, gets stunned, manages to recall just in time, away from the hack and away from his own Pulse bomb. Mira survives long enough as well, doesn't get killed off either, so is able to escape to the rest of his team, and the immortal backline, the Gladiators, stay alive for an inch longer as well. Kevster gets nanoed as they re-engage back into this fight. Punk is a little bit worse for wear as he ends up backing off, low HP, and the Boston Uprising almost basically forced to reset completely. An EMP, I say that as they just dive straight back in again. 2 people hacked. Space is de-mech'd. Muse is de-live. Just Punk finds 2. They managed to get back into it, but Skewed activates the rally. A rally for Faith as well. Customate, there's no one going down just yet. Everybody's immortal, and the payload is 2 meters away. Eventually, Skewed ends up going down as Faith's rally does enough to make it work for the Uprising. They should be able to get Space out of mech, kill him, and get second points, but it was a struggle.
This feels like a pacifist run from the Boston Uprising until they use EMP. They're just playing so defensively. Just every time the Gladiators try and throw something at them, they're playing reactively. They're always running back until IM37 gets that EMP up again. I do want to see them be a little bit more aggressive. They have a massive old advantage right now. Let's get stand one in there with the nano boost and really start pushing the tempo because they need as much time as they can because Gladiators have 3 minutes in the time bank.
Yeah, so playing a little bit sneaky beaky like. Health pack's hacked, so we can't use that for some additional support. And Stan one gets nanoed in the front and squishes Shu. Not bad, not bad. You said they want a lot of time. At least they're granted this fight, but they're running into a pulse. What, a nano now and another copy from Mirror.
Yeah, this is where I want to see them play defensively. Gladiators are going to throw everything they can early. I want to see a disengage and then get IM37 back on that EMP. They're fighting for the point right now. Great hack onto Mirror.
Beautiful
and they've isolated one. Maybe this is a fight to win.
Big stick from Valentine as well. I commented on his Tracer a little bit earlier on saying it wasn't quite up to snuff earlier on in the season. A little bit proved me wrong right now. Kevster and Shu find 2 kills. There is a spawn advantage, of course, for the Gladiators, but Valentine cleaning house. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. There is a Lucio on the point now, but he's going to get booped away, and the Boston Uprising have done it. They managed to secure that 3rd point, 1 minute and 32 seconds in the time bank, as Valentine just roundhouse kicks Los Angeles Gladiators out of the park.
Sees Kevster doing, he's like, anything you can do, I can do better. Valentine taking it into his own and really coming alive in that 3rd point, and they're going to need him. If they're going to begin this reverse sweep, obviously backs against the wall right now, they're still at a time deficit, but they're going to need these big plays from Valentine and IM37. That is what got them over the line against the Houston Outlaws when they looked so dominant. That's why we were so high on them, but we just haven't seen that all through yesterday and so far through this series. So I want to see them get that confidence, start looking to win this game and stop playing so defensive.
Hello.
Defense for the Gladiators now. I mean, Scott, what do you want to see from the Glads? Just all-out aggression again? It's about punishing IM37 a lot of the time. His EMPs have been good, but it feels like the Boston Uprising, their follow-up just hasn't really been there.
Yeah, I think if you're the Gladiators and you're learning from the last first point defense, they just got that little bit aggressive. They lived through the EMP, everything was looking great for them, but Mira gets a little bit too aggressive. I think Kevster got picked off as well. If they can just keep playing their defensive style while with their aggression of their front line, but play it tempered, right? You gotta know where the line is. And I think the Boston Uprising are gonna really struggle. It's gonna come down to who gets the nanos first and who gets the most effectiveness out of them.
Yeah, it feels that line's a little bit more close to them as well because of the Sombra. So easily are you punished if you're a tank that gets hacked manually, or even EMP'd, of course. Okay, the Boston Uprising, they roll out the gates. Rather aggressive to start off with. Valentine's already in the back, doing a lot of damage to Muse already.
Yeah, Gladiators are giving up a lot of space here. Valentine's going to be a problem. Someone's going to need to deal with him. Anti-nade onto Skewed. Just managed to live. Great protection from each other. And
actually ridiculous.
Down on the other side.
Yeah, Stan1 going down. Looks like in a bit fights now to go. That's the immortal backline I was talking about earlier, Scott.
Yeah, and we look at the nanos. I said they were the win conditions for both of these teams. When you only have a minute, that's what's important. Myeongbong's getting closer, and he's going to get there first before Shu right now. So I'm looking at Stan1 to take this nano and lead them to victory. Oh, Shu's already gone first!
I mean, Stan1, I looked at his health bar, and it was stunned, antied, and then it just disappeared. Just obliterated. Yeah, pretty much. 28 seconds remains. Valentine goes down as well.
Oh, you can see the Boston Uprising are really struggling with this aggression from the Gladiators, but they still have this window. 20 seconds left, they have the nano online. They can still execute the same strategy I just said.
Nano and the pulse. They're going to send one in. There's the nano onto Stan1, straight into the front line, but he gets booted back. Valentine trying to find something, but nothing can be found at all. He just gets denied. The pulse bomb whiffs a little bit, and IM37 sent to sleep. Okay, at least they've got Mirror. Saving grace now for the Boston Uprising as they get Space's mech as well. But it doesn't matter because Kevster and surprise, surprise, Muse tag team duo in the backline. Someone's going to help Myeongbong. A nice little anti-nade, but he doesn't survive for too long. A recall for Kevster, full HP back again as Muse falls for the Gladiators. But let's be real, Rally, are you getting through it? Definitely not. Looking like a full hold here for the Gladiators. Valentine falls, and this should just be it. The best that the Boston Uprising could hope for right now. It's going to be a draw, Scott, to keep them in this series and the knockouts.
All right, Jules, we both used to be flex support players. I guess you still are. I used to be one. That is the most heartbreaking thing from Myeongbong right there. Goes to throw the nano onto stand one. IM37 as the invisible Sombra runs in front of him and takes the nano. That fight could have been very different if Stan1 gets that nano. He gets that ability to survive, do that damage to the backline. Unfortunately, he falls and the Boston Uprising is stuck. So now, that's in the past. They got a hold for 3 minutes and 17 seconds against the Gladiators. What do you do here? Do you stick with the Sombra? Do you go to the Tracer Echo? Do you throw a curveball with a double shield, Jaws? What are you thinking?
At this point, it feels like, okay, you want to go comfort, right? To make sure you're in the prime you can be because you are about to get knocked out. But then also, yeah, that curveball might be worth it. Let's have a look at this nano though, Scott. Like you said, IM37, Invisible Sombra. It feels pretty bad. Oh my god, he was like off screen, mate. Like that just can't happen. Not only that, Scott, by the way, he got slept by Shu as well. So couldn't even utilize that nano to even get the EMP maybe? Like he was 67%, maybe he would have got it with the additional damage, but yeah, completely denied.
Every Boston Uprising and support players' hearts broken in an instant there, seeing that happen again. So I don't think Kevs is going to stay on this one for too long. Please don't tell me so. But yeah, this is an uphill battle for the Boston Uprising to get a great hold. They need to get a good first pick. They can't play defensives. As I've been saying this whole time, if they give Gladiators the space, it's going to be impossible.
Gladiators taking a lot of that space now up on the high ground. Luckily, they do get naded. Myungbong is able to do some additional healing, and Mira gets a little bit punished. All right, sleep on space won't mean all too much. The Gladiators, Scott, have got a lot of time to play with here, though.
Yeah, but that's one step at a time if you're the Boston Uprising. Get that first pick, start getting that ult charge up. I'm looking at IM37's EMP. He's going to need that to shut down when all these Los Angeles Gladiators crucial ults come up. But they need to keep holding that space, as I said as well. They did a great job the first time, do it again.
Another nice engage. Muse goes bright purple. They can force point here as well. Only 33% is required, so the tanks in the Boston Uprising going down to the point to contest. Myungbong's in trouble, but so is Faith. Kevster on the back line just disintegrates him. And now Myungbong is getting chased by the Muse. Like, what do? You can't do anything with the Boston Uprising right now. This should just be all over. Shu at least ends up going down. Self-destruct on point's going to have to kill 17 members of the Gladiators, but it's not going to be enough. The rally to finish it all off, and the Gladiators 3-0 the Boston Uprising and see themselves playing against Rain a little later on.
So the value of having the nano boost on your Winston right there on the Muse just absolutely divides the backline and tears the Boston Uprising apart. Great play by the Los Angeles Gladiators, and they needed this convincing win because they got a lot more steps to go if they're going to be champions of the Summer Showdown. Waiting them is going to be the Atlanta Rain.
Oh, man. The Atlanta Rain is going to be an extremely tough opponent, too. Think about seeing them the other day just annihilate teams. A little bit of BM as well on King's Row, of course. That matchup is going to be one for the ages for sure. It's going to be a close one. Scott, I don't want to make you give a pred, but you know.
I do that every day, Jaws. That's just me on the desk. I'll flip-flop at the last second, as you said anyway.
That is very true. So the Gladiators right now, they're looking extremely, extremely sharp, and really is all off the back of the DPS prowess. Kevster is going to be your player of the match, presented by Xfinity. His Tracer play at the very start of the series was crazy. Didn't leave the backline of the Boston Uprising for a second. He is crucial to the success of the Gladiators.
And we talked about Kevster so much coming into this season. Kevster was going to be the prodigy from Europe, the person who's going to lead Los Angeles to these victories. Unfortunately, on this high ping, he wasn't able to do it. But if you weren't a fan of Kevster now he's on low ping, you've seen him in the Summer Showdown, you better be a fan because he is just absolutely tearing apart some of the best we have in the business. Valentine and IM37 have been playing so well throughout this Summer Showdown, but I'm going to be honest, Kevster made them look silly at certain points.
Yeah, just kind of running around them and getting these pulse bomb kills too. They're just insane. Against a Brig, it's hard enough, but he just makes it look so easy. Him and Muse have been tag teaming up this entire time, just executing the backline. You can see solo kills per 10, 1.3, not bad. Pulse bomb kills, deaths at extremely low at only 3 per 10. And the amount of hero damage as well is just insane. I mean, this guy is a wonder for sure. A solid backline for the Gladiators. The dive prowess of Muse and Kevster. What can't this team really do?
Well, the question's going to be, can they dive the double shield of Atlanta, the defensive style? Like, Boston was defensive, but Atlanta Rain is a completely different beast. It's so hard to play anything, and we see how well they shut down Tracer. So is Kevster going to have the same performance against Atlanta? I don't know. It's going to be a close one.
It's going to be a close one for sure, and we'll find out what happens in that game a little bit later on. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining me. It's been a pleasure, mate. Like I said, another Infinity Gem added to my gauntlet of casters. We're going to jump to a quick break, though. Don't go anywhere. We got a couple more games after this.
Did you snap Vicky?
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheese It Grooves. We're joined now by Shu from Los Angeles Gladiators. Shu, congratulations on the win today. 슈 선수 승리 축하드리면서 인터뷰 시작하겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 감사합니다.
오늘 제가 굉장히 오늘 말이 빨리 잘 나오네요. 아무튼 자 인터뷰 시작할게요. Alright, starting off with the first question. The series was honestly a very one-sided affair in favor of the Los Angeles Gladiators. Was there like a weakness that you saw in Boston that you guys were able to exploit, or just simply put, were you guys just that much better than Boston? 첫 번째 질문은 이제 오늘 방금 경기 쉽게 말해서 굉장히 빠른 3대 0으로 어떻게 보면은 네, 좀 너무나도 빨리 경기가 끝났는데 어떻게 좀 슈 선수가 보시기에 오늘 경기에서 좀 들어오면서 보스턴에 대한 좀 어떤 특별한 약점이 보여서 그거를 좀 사용을 해서 승리를 거두신 건지 아니면은 솔직하게 말해서 그냥 글래디가 그만큼 더 잘하는 팀이었는지 뭔가요?
그냥 일단 다이브 자체를 저희 팀이 더 잘해요. 네, 그래서 이긴 것 같아요. 쉽게 다이브 대 다이브를 하면 이제 저희는 안 질 줄 알았거든요. 그래서 이제 보슨이 처음 이제 맵 고르는 게 이제 일리오스였는데 일리오스 준비할 때도 그냥 안 질 걸 알았었어요. 쉽게 이길 줄 알고 있었다.
쉽게 이길 줄 알고 있었다. So simple answer is we already going in knowing that we were going to clutch this win against the Boston Uprising. I mean, going into the match, we knew that they were going to go use most of the times the dive composition and objectively speaking, she was saying that when it comes to dive versus dive mirror match, they have the upper hand. They're the better team. And when it comes to dive competition in general, they are better than Boston Uprising. So knowing that Boston is going to run that dive, that sort of gave Shu and Gladiators feeling that, or the knowledge that they're going to, it is going to be sort of an easier fight for this matchup. And because also for when Boston picked Ilias for their map pick, they just knew that they were going to do dive. So it was going to be a mirror match, and they won just because of that. All right, second question, another simple one for you, Shu. I'm making this really fast so you could prepare for your next match, for this match, which is against the Atlanta Reign, the number 2 seeded team. What are your plans for your match against the Atlanta Reign? 자, 두 번째 질문은 이제 다음 경기인 이제 아틀란타 팀과의 지금 2위에 있는 아틀란타 팀과의 경기가 있을 텐데요. 어떻게 하면은 글래디가 아틀란타를 누르고 하웨이로 갈 수 있을까요?
보시다시피 이제 서로 쓰는 게 정반대인데 저희는 다이브고 상대는 그거를 카운터 치는 조합인데 이제 저희가 그걸 깨야죠. 창과 방패의 대결이라고 생각하는데 저는 저희가 충분히 깰 수 있다고 생각해서 보스턴 경기보다는 어려울 것 같지만 그래도 충분히 이길만 하지 않을까 생각합니다.
Alright, so this is going to be a clash of composition, clash of play style. We feel like we're going to be running more dive compositions, whereas Atlanta Reign, they're known and they've been using sort of that defensive slow tempo countering that dive composition. And so when it comes to this fight, I feel like it is going to be definitely harder than against our fight against the Boston Uprising, but it is definitely winnable. This fight is sort of like a spear versus a shield. So when it comes to that, I do feel like we still could get the win against the Atlanta Reign. All right, with that being said, thank you so much, Shu, for the interview, and good luck in your match against the Atlanta Reign. 슈 선수 인터뷰에서 너무 감사드리고 아틀란타 경기 화이팅 하시길 바라겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네,
Let's head back to the desk.
감사합니다.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you so much, of course, Shu, and congratulations to him and the Gladiators. They are moving up one more round. And I quickly need to get my football scores confirmed. Any of you watch the end?
Yeah.
Can't reach my PC.
Spoilers.
Did we win?
It didn't.
I didn't watch.
It didn't.
Oh no.
Okay. Woo! I'm ready for this one. Sorry.
No
They're
bias
good neighbors, all right? They're good neighbors. Gratulazioni Italia. Andiamo. Okay, let's go. Gladiators. They got record envy, all right, watching that last match. So they tried to speed run their own match quite quickly, and there were some signs of life here and there, but there's a lot we still need to discuss. For example, as we just headed into the match on the control, Color Hex and Gabulsi were subbed in. 2 players we haven't seen an awful lot of. What's the thought behind that? Like today in your knockout rounds, why?
I assume you're asking me, and
anyone who has an answer, really.
I can't give you an answer. That's why I'm hesitating, because it doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe this is how they've always practiced on Ilios. those two players becoming in Kellehex and Gay Bullshit. But they weren't playing a different strategy. They weren't playing different heroes. It honestly makes no sense to me. But that was just a drop in the bucket, really, with this whole series, because everything sort of fell apart for the Boston Uprising. We didn't see glimpses of what they did against the Houston Outlaws. They couldn't get those great individual performances. The only time we really saw signs of life is when Valentine went over to this Tracer on King's Row and just took over the game for certain points. But other than that, I don't think Boston Uprising are playing with confidence. They didn't believe in themselves when you look at their play in just being able to go toe-to-toe with the Gladiators. So nothing away from the Gladiators. They look great. I think I completely agree with Shu. This next match, Gladiators versus the Atlanta Reign, is going to be an absolute banger because it is an offensive style versus a defensive style. And we haven't really seen those two things clash so far in the Summer Showdown. So stick around for that one if you aren't planning on it.
Anything else you guys want to add to that, to this series we just saw? Also, of course, the looks on the Gladiators.
I just want to say, I mean, after watching Boston play like this, I have a question. Do you think when they played against Houston, do you think that was sort of like a luck, or was it like a luck thing, or?
I mean, Houston were not prepared. Like, clearly Houston just struggled to find an answer. But also, again, Boston played really good in that match.
They were really good.
They just clicked on a different level. Like, we haven't seen it today. We haven't seen it, when was the last time we saw them play? Yesterday.
Yeah.
It was like just that Houston game where they were just like transcending themselves. Yep. Sometimes it's that. Now we do have more matches coming your way, of course, because the knockout rounds are far from over. There are still everything on the line for 4 teams which are still trying to get in. 2 slots are available. Let's see who's gonna get it done. Washington is the ultimate underdog in their match, going up against the Dallas Fuel. Now, I feel like brainstorming how can I get it done is almost a wasted effort, because quite frankly, Dallas Fuel have just been so dominant. I personally haven't really seen many cracks in the armor because they're also just so versatile.
Yeah, I mean, the Dallas Fuel have been the most dominant team in the North American region pretty much since the inception, the start of the league this year. They've been lights out. They have taken a couple of losses, and one of them was actually to the Washington Justice in the main melee qualifiers. We saw some Winston battling it out, but since then, I mean, the Dallas Fuel, they made it to 2 of the stage finals, taking on the Shanghai Dragons. We saw them in their home stand the other day, just celebrating in front of their fans that they got some nice wins, one of them against the Houston Outlaws. So this Dallas Fuel team, I mean, they're spectacular. The pace they play with, the team synergy, it's like a hive mind with a plethora of individual skill. So entertaining to watch. And for the Washington Justice, a team that has improved throughout the Summer Showdown Qualifiers and have gotten some nice wins, like the one against the Gladiators, for example, yesterday. But they are definitely the underdog in this one. So
I want to jump in because the post-game interview that we just did with the Washington Justice. So who was that with, Danny? I believe it was Assassin. Was it Assassin?
Assassin.
Yeah, so it was Assassin, just confirming that. But he said, player for player, pound for pound, they think they are individually better on every single role than the Dallas Fuel, which I don't completely agree with. I mean, but it doesn't matter what I think.
Good
it matters what what they think that. They also said that get this win.
Yeah, no. He also mentioned that when it comes to mirror matchups, then they have the upper hand as well. So, yeah.
Hey, again, like Kasha said, we and probably no one really agrees with that sentiment. However, that is exactly the mindset you have to have, because it's crunch time for Washington Justice, presented by Cheesy Groups. Taking on the Dallas Fuel, this is going to be the crunchiest of all crunches. Like, it doesn't get any more crispy and crunchy than that. Like, this is what you got to bring to the table. Like, they need to hear you on the other side of the planet with that crunch. So that's the expectation heading into this one. And I do love hearing that they are coming in with confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Costa knows as well, this is what you have to bring to the table. And almost a little bit of what we saw maybe Boston Uprising lack, you know, that determination, the motivation, the willingness to play fast, not to make mistakes and get into your face of your opponent. So Washington Justice, if they can bring that confidence to the game today, they could actually make it close with the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, let's take a look at our predictions, although I do not expect any surprises. I also don't expect to sway anyone any which way, as we have a way of doing that every once in a while. I'm going Dallas, big surprise there. Danny, are we burning blue?
Yes.
Yes.
I was waiting until
Yeah,
I was waiting until it showed, and then but then I think production was
I think
waiting
they
for
were
me to
waiting
say
for
the
you
word.
to say
Yeah,
something.
so I was like,
You should have just said nothing and they'll give you Washington. I'm going with the Dallas Fuel as well. I think Dallas Fuel is just so dominant, it's hard to bet against them.
yeah.
And I'll be going with the Washington Justice because I actually think that they're going to win this one in the mirror battle.
What?
They have done it once in the regular season, in the May Melee qualifiers, and I think they will do it again. The Dallas Fuel, I think they fear two teams in the league. One of them is the Shanghai Dragons. They lost to them in the Summer Show, or the June Joust finals actually, because of Fate's Wrecking Ball stepping up that tempo. Fearless, the MVP frontrunner, swapped to Roadhog because it was so caught off guard by the Wrecking Ball. Washington Justice, they've beaten the Dallas Fuel before in their own game. No one besides the Shock has beaten the Dallas Fuel in their own game besides the Washington Justice, and I think they will do it once more. If Mag can stick on that Wrecking Ball, I think pound for pound, they are going to be the better team. Decay is going to take down Sparkle, Assassin is going to take down Doha, and Fearless is not going to know what to do against the
I
Wrecking
love
Ball.
that you're
There it is.
trying.
He
In
had an
that
essay
round,
ready.
you're trying to convince himself. That's what he's doing. He's trying to talk himself into this decision. I'm not
Wait,
seeing
hold
much
on.
agreement
Copium.
on this. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Right
It's
now,
happening,
you got to
boys.
mix them right now. Matt and Uber, you guys are going to call the action for this one, and I couldn't see much agreement in your faces as Reinforce was trying to hype himself up for his pick.
Check that man's PayPal. Check that man's PayPal. Who's in his PayPal? Check his PayPal.
It's gonna be a good one. I can't wait to be back at the desk and y'all be eating your words.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, look. No, if the Justice lose, nobody's going to go after you. And then if they do, you're just going to be like, oh, well, it's
you're playing with house money.
Yeah.
It's like Brent
you're
challenging
playing house
pro
money.
players to 1v1s. Like, you have nothing to lose. But all you said
Actually
was
true.
that, like, this player would beat this player. Christ on a bike, Johnny. You're an analyst, mate. You just...
So, like,
Excuse me? That was not what I said at all. How dare you dismiss me like that? Sorry.
So, like, hold on. Well, I could see in a world in which the Justice do give them trouble. Like, the Justice are a scary team to go up against. Like, they're so up and down and all over the place. But in those moments when they click, they look unbelievable, right? And Decay,
Yes,
we know, can
okay.
take over a game. So there is an outside chance, right? But Dallas has looked so good throughout the
Johnny's
season
going to
thus
argue with
far.
his own point now.
You'd
Just give me a
have
sec,
to
hold
keep
on.
them.
No, here's what I'll say as well. So the one thing I think about the Washington Justice we sort of disliked is the fact that they like to go to these Reinhardt comps, the double shield, etc.
Yeah.
I think this is going to devolve into an absolute ego duel fiesta like only Uber has seen on this desk right here. So I think that the Washington Justice and the Dallas Fuel, they'll stick to the Sombra Tracer for the most of the time. That's what Assassin said in the interview as well. They think they're better pound for pound in the mirror matchup. So I don't think we'll see the Reinhardt comps at all, to be honest, because I think these teams, they like their dive compositions, and I think that's what they're going to stick to.
Yeah, Johnny's not the first one to mention that. We've heard from players that Dallas like to try and force other teams to play that wins the mirror with them. So thank you very much, Desk. We'll check back in with you after this match here. And some polarizing predictions, Matthew. No surprise. At this stage, everyone's gone a little bit loopy. But we've just seen the Washington Justice overcome one of the most impressive Paris Eternal looks that we've ever seen. Incredibly close series, but the maps, a lot of them defensively were quite one-sided, right? We saw a lot of holds going on there.
Map select was pretty big in that series, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's something we're going to be looking for here as well, and you know how the map dependency shakes out from what we actually get selected here. We've seen the Dallas Fuel struggle up against a few different compositions, right? The already real weaknesses here in this stage have been against some of those Orisa setups, but we just heard the Justice want to play mirror match against Dallas. The last team to do that was, I guess, the Shanghai Dragons, really, and at least they're the last team that really gave Dallas a challenge and ended up beating him on that setup.
And in the knockouts here, to get to Hawaii, we've actually seen the teams who have had to play the 2 match days have a lot of success versus the teams that have the higher seeds and have the 1 match. So we have seen the Justice already. They are warmed up. They're in game shape. We can take a look at their roster coming into the match, and nothing too surprising. The only thing you could have potentially have said, like, do we see the Chuba support come out at all today? We didn't see it in the first series. I think it's probably still a work in progress. So I want to see them stay on this, not move off of Decay, and bring in Jerry. Stay on this, play your game. This is when they've looked the best throughout the year.
I think the few times that we've seen teams dabble with the compositions that Jerry would be involved in, like Ash, for example, it's been a bit difficult, right? Teams like Atlanta sort of showed that you could close the gap on, those kind of poke compositions pretty quickly and punish them. The Washington Justice, we're getting to see a little bit more of Mag's hero pool, right? I think at the start of this week, we sort of said, well, we've only really seen this Winston play. We haven't got to see him play much Reinhardt. In fact, as far as Watson was concerned, his other tanks weren't really ranked nearly as highly as his Winston. But since then, this week, we have seen Mag play a bunch more of Reinhardt, and he looked pretty darn ferocious. Looked incredibly good. I think it was against a London Spitfire, for example. But they're looking hot to trot the Washington Justice. They will be going up against the one, the only, the Dallas Fuel, who would like very much to take their third trip to Hawaii in as many tournament cycles. And Matt, this is a team that has shown only a few weak spots, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time they've actually had the higher seed, or they've had the
I believe so. I think the first one they made it in is like the 6th seed. The last stage, I think they played twice as well, where we see this lineup. This is where really, at the start of the season, I think they were playing, Repel maybe a little bit, but this is really kind of their bread and butter. This lineup is it, yeah, and they've been lights out since they've gone with this.
And you can see their ranks; those are by role. Their power
like
rankings by
1 and 2
IBM
for
Watson.
everybody.
Yeah, no one lower than 3, and I think Doha obviously is a bit more of a supportive individual, not one to take the spotlight. So we are set up for a pretty incredible matchup here. The Washington Justice have shown us that, although they devolve into chaos from time to time, that's definitely something that we've seen from the Fuel as well. But the Justice overcome a really powerful-looking Paris Eternal roster to get here. But to get Hawaii, they need to take on the biggest bad that exists here in the West. We're going to be heading into map number 1, the Lijiang Tower, in just a moment. And again, Johnny kind of pointed out, he feels that this is a series where maybe the meta or what we've seen before doesn't matter so much as the two teams just putting on their best show and taking a battle of wits and egos.
I agree. I think you can definitely see the potential for tons of Winston play. And I think if you're Dallas, you want to play the Winston, but do you want to play the Tracer? We've seen Sparkle play Tracer and be pretty good throughout the season, but taking that open invite against the player of Decay's caliber is a little bit different, right? It's a level up, as Decay, I think, is one of the best, if not, best Tracer that we have. Is the Justice looks like potentially hovering over this Reinhardt comp. This is a point where the Symmetra is very good. I mean, Symmetra gets a lot of play just in general on control, but this one, even when she wasn't, consistently in the meta, this is when we would see her on.
Teams that prefer not to play May in this comp usually go for the Doomfist. And if you can spend a couple of fights where you get an insta-kill, the rocket punch on the enemy May before they can ice block, then you're probably going to win the round. So Dallas has taken what is arguably the riskier approach here as that Doomfist gets caught out in the open. It is lights out for Sparkle. He goes in though, the Sentry Turret, and that's an early pick. That's exactly what they need. Keeping him alive would have been even better, but the Immortality Field did get forced from Bebe. Han been frozen up briefly, but he's not bothered, and Mag is just clambered upon by the Diva.
Dallas gets aggressive, just barrels on through. Somehow they're going to be able to keep Fearless alive. Their nice teleporter usage as they'll double back to the point. For me, I would have loved to see Dallas play the point with the Doomfist, right? But they end up taking the fight right to the Washington Justice, and they're able to get the Symmetra right away, which is such a large source of damage.
You feel like it's easy to get punches on the point? Is that your point?
Yeah. Well, now Decay switches over to Reaper, so no Symmetra, no possibilities of a teleporter, but just more upfront damage here.
Well, and crucially, can quickly pop in a Wraith Walk if he sees a rocket punch heading in his direction. You have plenty of time to respond to that. Lizard thrown on the back side of the wall. It's still going to affect the Dallas Fuel, though. Fearless gets in the Immortality Field, but Assassin was waiting behind him. It may not matter, though. Sparkle's been able to pick Bebe out of the field, and he's found his second already. Fighting the May not be a big deal. He's already found 2 kills, and with Mag going down, it's the Sparkle show.
His Doomfist is looking great here at the beginning of this series as Dallas gets another hold. I believe it was a teleporter that ended up setting up a Ant Matrix that was behind the Justice, with Fielder putting down some extra damage from the opposite side. Teleporter up to the high ground. They're going to take this fight right to the Justice.
Meteor Strike. Sparkle waits out as much of the sound barrier as he possibly can, but he knows he needs to get back into the fray as soon as he can. Unfortunately, it's still too late. Immortality Field is up, and it's a tough one for him to get past Bebe's Immortality.
They had to do so much, though. Ant Matrix, Sound Barrier. They ended up using a Shatter during that. That's going to be Fearless's Shatter, just connecting with Assassin. The Justice should be able to flip this point. Some members for the Dallas Fuel just trying to stay on here. The contestant keeps sending it deeper and deeper towards that 99.
Steely gaze on his face. Mag knows this is going to be one of the toughest matchups that Main Tank is going to have, especially in the Reinhardt battle. This has absolutely been Fearless's turf that he's carved out. We've only recently started to see more Ryan from Mag in this tournament cycle. 11% and counting on the clock.
Well, you should be able to rattle off a decent amount of percentage here if you're Washington. No ultimates available for the Dallas Fuel. They have a few junk fights potentially on the table. Washington smart, conserve some of these. They could be able to take this to a tie game.
Shatter from Mag. Maybe he expects some sort of hijinks behind him from the teleporter play. No one is there, though. Great deterrent, though, I'm sure. Decay's going to get cut down, though. Tries to go for the Death Blossom, but Fielder picks him in the middle of it. Dallas still don't have control of the point quite yet, but Fearless is back, and they're at a player advantage.
Yeah, that was quite unnecessary there for Decay to go in that deep, but it's going to be Mag who takes out Fearless right at the start. So you get the main tank again here. Some big kills coming up on a Fearless early.
Yeah. Sparkle, I think, had to move away from the self-destruct. He had nowhere to hide, really. He ended up running headlong into Assassin. Matt, like you said, the Justice were in a great spot to get some of that percentage ticking along. Doha switching over towards the May now. It's Doomfist and May for Dallas.
Yeah, and I think you're probably only staying on this Doomfist because you're close to the Meteor Strike. Having that ultimate to kind of let Sparkle go in, try and get a kill, and get out to safety. This is going to be Sound Barrier to kick things off for the Justice.
Assassin wants to harass Hanbin here. Maybe make it easy for him to get a Blizzard if the mech is frozen, but he couldn't find it. This could be dangerous now. It is eaten anyway. Hanbin has that one for dinner, and Sparkle's already fallen to the Reaper guy. Mag is in trouble, though. No one was there to heal him, and Fury was busy dealing with his opposite number. He's eventually going to be desuited here, so despite the first casualty in the round, the Fuel looked tooled to retake.
Yeah, but like I mentioned in the previous fight, when the Justice were able to take the point back, that they had enough ultimates stockpiled, and there was nothing on the side of the Dallas Fuel to get this to even.
Shut up!
What? Oh, they did not expect Mag to stay.
3 for that. Beautiful stuff, but Fearless is able to pick himself off the ground. An Immortality Field from the Dallas Fuel. It's a fantastic shatter from Washington. But Dallas have the answer.
So Mag tried to make the play there. It's a massive shatter as he kind of expects the Dallas Fuel to charge on through. They knew that they were getting close to 99, maybe pick up a few players coming out of the spawn, just trying to contest. Mag with a big shatter, but Dallas, just too many players, right? Not enough damage just from Mag. I think there was maybe one other player there to try and take those players of Dallas Fuel out, and they'll secure the round.
Crucially, Matt, if I'm not mistaken, both Jexa and Fielder did not get shattered. I think maybe it was Jexa, but I mean, Doha, Hanbin, Jexa, I want to say. Fielder was there with the Immortality Field, and that was enough time for Jexa to get a Sound Barrier. The Dallas Fuel picked himself off the ground. I think Fearless went for a counter shatter there. You love the playmaking from Mag up against a arguably more seasoned opponent. He really goes for it there, and it's just so close. Not quite enough to get the Justice that first round, and we're back now in the Garden. Sparkle's still on the Doomfist here. Immortality Fields are down, and that's the first casualty. It's the Doom for Dallas out of the picture.
Washington is able to get an advantage in some of these fights where this is a series that I think will be closer than most people expected. The Justice will take the point first here, but they have the individual player skill to win a series like this, right? With Mag and Fury and how well Decay and Assassin are. The support line has played better than I think some predicted going into the season. It's just the consistency from point to point. You saw them rally off a few fights in our last one, not enough to win that point. They start off with a point here first, so see if they can sort of rattle together these ultimates, cycle them up, and take this round.
That's a great wall. It's going to section off a lot of the Dallas players, and Doha catches the broad side of the shatter. Firestrike was there to follow it up. Dallas commit, by the looks of things, a shatter and an Ant Matrix for nothing.
That's totally fine though, because if you're a Justice found, you know, you only commit your Amp Matrix and Shatter as well, so we stay on even footing across the board. Sparkle will now play May, so they want to move away from the Doomfist already. Have matched the Symmetra and the May setup, which I think this bodes well for Washington. Although Dallas has looked great on this setup, we've been seeing a lot of, you know, Sparkle on the Symmetra and Doha on the May. This is going to be a wall that comes through from Assassin. Doesn't split them off. They still use the teleporter.
Yeah, Teleporter would have got them past the wall, but it would have been deep in enemy lines. Too risky. It got removed at the start of the fight anyway. Assassin, he's in a churling mass of players. Venn diagram of solitude, I guess, with the Immortality fields in play, but they're both removed. Here's the TP. Fury going to use that one just to reposition a little bit, but Decay can't get past the self-destruct until 75. And counting on the clock for the Justice, the Dallas Fuel Mat have been pretty impotent this round. And Mag's looking at another Earth Shadow to potentially end it.
Oh yeah, I mean, Shatter plus the Amp Matrix again, and you have your Blizzard as Assassin held onto it in that previous fight. You know, the Blizzard forces a sound barrier, and then you have all of that damage with the Amp Matrix to put it away.
97. It's go time for the Dallas Fuel. Another wall comes up on the right side. It's going to be an Amp Matrix, and Fearless can do nothing but keep his shield up. He drops it at the wrong time. He and Harbin both get stunned. The Blizzard's in play for Assassin here, and Fearless couldn't do a damn thing about it. Sparkle's trying to build up a Blizzard of his own, but he never quite got there. He's taken down by Fury, and the self-destruct adds injury to injury. There's nothing left for the Dallas Fuel to work with here as Fielder's going to get bundled off of the point. What a response. What a comeback here. It's a shutout in round 2 of Lijiang for the Justice.
And so many times when we talk about the Dallas Fuel, the thing that everybody brings up, and I've heard Johnny and Scott mention it on the desk a ton, is that they force other teams to play their game. No, there was no adjustment needed for the Washington Justice when they see the Symmetra and either the May and the Doomfist, right? They play the Symmetra, they make that work to great effect, and now Dallas is the team that has to adjust. They're the team on the back foot, and then you have Sparkle on the May, which he can play, but that's not their preferred setup if they're going to run that. As you see, you know, coming into this final round, Sparkle will potentially pick up the Symmetra dudes.
That's stunning stuff from Mag. He just went for it. Very, very good. I mean, he had to deal with Hardy playing a ridiculous Reinhardt recently. Having to take that matchup was probably good conditioning for this one. Bit of damage there on Doha early on. You can see this trade goes in favor of the Fuel, though. Immortality Field has to be used, but after that, Mag is taken down. Fury is desuited. Dallas are back with a vengeance here, Matt. Closer, normally the very safe support player, actually gets involved, gets that kill on the desuited Hanbin. And Decay in a late fight, this could be a little dangerous. Fury wants a remake, he'll have it! Not quite.
Yes, at the beginning, Mag just took so much damage. Assassin trying to take out Doha, connects with one icicle, but Mag takes so much damage, and then Fury tries to go in to help him. You know, with the defense matrix, they get the immortality field, but both of the tanks on the Justice got just chunked down so hard at the beginning that the support's not able to keep them alive.
Good start for the Dallas Fuel. A very close fight, though. This is a world where the Justice don't lose their main tank so early. Very different story. Okay, Amplification Matrix come up from both sides. No, sorry, just the Fuel. Mag gonna go down straight away, though. That's Fuel to find in the finish on the kill. The Immortality Field removed so quickly by Jexa. And that fight's over before it begins.
Yes, you get Sparkle on the Symmetra, start to get him charged up, and Doha can play the May, which he's so good at. So it's an Amp Matrix so that wins that fight for Dallas, and then the aggression on through that. You're going to have a Shatter here as Mag tried to go for the Shatter on that encounter, so you won't have that available for Washington. You see Fearless just looking around the corner with that shield up. This will be a Blizzard for both sides.
Fearless gets caught though. Mag swoops on in despite the Blizzard, knowing that he would get frozen, but knew he'd have time to get the charge kill before he was made frosty. That's huge. 3 players from Washington get frozen, but Dallas, without Fearless in the mix and being walled away, can't do anything about it.
Yes, Hanbin will get DMAC. This will be a point flip for Washington. So a big fight. Those sound barriers on both sides. Blizzard on both. Mag gets that charge through the Blizzard like you mentioned. He's done that a few times already in this series. Been able to get those charge kills onto Fearless while the Blizzard's coming down before they were getting fully frozen. As Dallas, come on in. They have an Amp Matrix to use here, so See, oh, they TP to the high ground and use it there.
Can they get value though? Wall thrown up to block both air matrices. Self-destruct, so they find one each. Jackson crucially goes down for the Dallas Fuel though. Sparkle gonna drop to decay. There's less healing and now there's less personnel in general left for Dallas. And honestly, a hard-fought fight for the Justice. It's a quick one, but they spend a lot. They really had to win that.
They have to win just about all of these from here on out, right? This Justice also, as you notice, I'm sure you noticed, like they are not playing as aggressive as the Dallas Fuel do, right? Remember when Dallas had control of the point? They were using the speed boost, pushing right onto them. The Justice are very much a reactive team, wanting Dallas to be the one that makes the move and then try and find a mistake or a player out in that scenario.
You can see Dallas again, Matt, just as you explained. They get aggressive, they go forward. The Justice try and fold back. The light show on the point here. A lot of walls going up, but a Blizzard Crucial is going to catch Fearless, and then Immortality Field is down. So falls the stalwart defender of the Fuel in the front line. And now it's getting dangerous for Dallas. Spent in the wall, but that's it.
Dangerous series. It's like the Justice have been wildly inconsistent throughout the season. But when you look at the talent on this roster, you can definitely say they should be one of the best teams in the league with the players they have. Where all they have to do is win one game, 3 maps. You do not want to see a team like this today.
Go time. Blizzard down for Doha. It doesn't get eaten up, so now the party starts for Dallas. Immortality Field was there, but Mag is charged out of it. Somehow he's still alive, and the sound barrier is going to prolong that even further closer. It's just what the Doctor ordered, but it still can't keep Mag standing. Fearless, indomitable aggression eventually overpowers the enemy main tank, and he's holding the Shatter in reserve. The fight's not quite done yet. Assassin getting involved, gets rid of Sparkle, so Fearless has to let this go now. He'll get decayed, he'll end it for real, but Dallas need to win another.
Yeah, and Washington holds onto their sound barrier even like through the blizzard when Closer could have actually dropped it. They opt to use it a little bit later, which potentially could have been the difference in winning. Yeah, it does keep Mag alive, but I know you wonder a little bit more reactionary and aggressive. You could win it, but you set yourself up for a fantastic spot here if you're Washington. You have to win one fight. You have 4 ultimates on the table.
Mag. Oh, he's absolutely unhinged, Matt. I can't believe what I've just seen. Buddy hops forward and MTDs the heck out of Fearless. Dallas nowhere to be seen. That is absolutely disgusting. Now in overtime, Decay controls the high ground. Heartbeat is still reeling. Has to find a way to try and keep this stalled out. Fearless moves up on the wrecking ball. There's a self-destruct on the high ground. Maybe more for a remake than anything else, but Dallas, they are tottering, Matthew. No idea what they've just been hit by, and I don't blame them. Blizzard eaten up. Doha gets nothing out of that one. Perfect execution from the Justice. Oh, mate, we've got a series.
Well, the biggest thing that you can take from this map 1 is we've talked about how Mag has not looked the best at times on the Reinhardt. And coming up with some huge shatters and being able to play Fearless even in that category, with that hero would be huge for the Justice's chances in this matchup.
Washington, we knew this would be a danger game for the Dallas Fuel, and Mag is up to the challenge. He wants the title of King of the Tanks, and he's here to take it. Oh, Dallas. Well, they look pretty crestfallen, and you can't blame them. There's plenty more series still to play, though, and the Fuel, I'm sure, have plenty left in that playbook. Li Zhangtao was close. First round looked pretty darn good for Dallas, and that second one, though, that's where the wind really gets taken out of their sails. Playing around Mag, it helps to have such a safe support like Closer there to keep those sound barriers coming. Ridiculous shatter, incredible Ryan play, more of it to come, I'm sure, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile.